Colleagues, we can start another time the meeting with the last point in our agenda. The last point is the objection pursuant to Rule 106, granting an authorization for the use of bis 2-ethyl-lexylphthalate, but okay, the pronunciation probably is not correct. But I give immediately the floor to the rapporteur, Pavel Potts, for explaining us the reason of the objection. Please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And I would like to ask all of you for a piece of patience with this, and I will speak in Czech because it's more. Vážení kolegové, předkládám dneska k úvaze námitku.
Dear colleagues, I present to you consideration an objection against the Commission's proposal to grant a 7-year exception allowing the use of one of the most dangerous hormonal disruptors, a substance that is reprotoxic, neurotoxic, immunotoxic and carcinogenic, DEHP. The substance is especially dangerous to pregnant women and to male embryos, causing malformation to their urogenital tract. It is linked to neurological disorders in children, and like with other phthalates, there is a link to the breast cancer and testicular cancer. DEHP may reduce the number of spermatocytes and cause cellular changes to testicular issue. DHPP is endocrinal disruptor, and there is no safe threshold, and DEHP cannot be considered toxic only up from a certain dose. The phthalates accumulate in our bodies, and I believe that if authorized for the use in a wide spectrum of PVC products, as the Commission proposes, the main goal of REACH will be missed. Why? Because an authorization system should guarantee that substances of a very high concern should be quickly replaced with alternatives where technically and economically viable, which is possible in this case. And also, the goal of REACH is to guarantee a high level of protection of life and environment. The proposal lacks consistency with previous legislations. For example, the directive on the reduction of dangerous substances in electronic equipment calls for a ban of 4 most dangerous phthalates, including this one, DEHP. It is also inconsistent with later legislation. The Commission tabled a proposal for a measure on 21st October this year by which DEHP is classified as a substance with very high concern due to possible effects on human health according to Article 57 of the Regulation 1907. The sequence of steps raises the question of a possible purpose behind the DEHP authorization. If the steps went in reverse, there would be no question of authorization. The DEHP is now considered only for reprotoxicity, and there is a purpose behind it, because DEHP can be so considered as a substance with toxicity threshold. This cannot be the case in endocrinal disruptors. DEHP had previously got authorizations, but only for limited use. However, this time we have a much wider authorization in the production of recycled soft PVC, which means that it is about continuous presence of highly dangerous substance in products made from soft PVC. Such approach is also against the idea of circular economy. We, as the EP, in our resolution from July this year, and I quote, said, "The prevention takes priority of recycling."
Recycling should not justify the perpetuation of the hazardous legacy substances. Přitom už nyní je
DEHP is already present in the EU's environment air, water, soil, even the blood and urine of Europeans. We are all in danger, but especially pregnant women, babies and children who are exposed to the chemical at a sensitive key stages of their development. One piece of evidence for this is that DEHP is one of the most frequently detected substances by the rapid warning system RAPEX. There are available alternatives to DEHP, as the Commission has learned during the public consultation process from the manufacturers, subcontractors and end users. The request for the exception clearly does not qualify. The proposers failed to prove that the risks from the use of the chemical can be or adequately is controlled. They also failed to prove that the benefits outweigh the health risk to European citizens. What is almost shocking is that the file documents say, with a degree of arrogance, that, I quote,
"Health assessment has been performed and the analysis lacks the methodology to compare the health impacts of continued use to socio-economic benefits." Takže co vlastně...
So, what the socio-economic analysis does, what caused its opinion to beat the risk analysis consultation, which says, I quote,
"Environment from the use of the substance is not demonstrated to be adequately controlled." Takže nemáme kontrolu nad riziky.
We do not have no control on the risk, and we do not compare the risks, health risk, with SEAC. I can go on. The companies who propose the authorization cannot prove that they are able to resolve the risks to which their own employees are exposed. I really believe that the Commission has got too far, and please support me. I want to ask the Commission to withdraw the authorization. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now Mr. Ch04 replacing Mr. Eickhout.
Köszönöm a szót, elnök úr. Szeretném megköszönni.
Thank you, President. I'd like to thank Mr. Pavel Potts for his work and for everything that he has said. And I believe that this is a very important topic. And I agree with him 100%. This is a substance, DEHP, which has very serious health effects and health risks, and these health effects are difficult to control. The examinations and investigations that have been done show that there is a number of potential negative effects on human organism, and most specifically on pregnant women and embryos, and within that especially male embryos, the development of male embryos, and could cause infertility in adult males. And that's because of the exposure of male embryos in the body of their pregnant women. The risk analysis found that reprocessing plants, in reprocessing plants, exposure to DEHP could reach levels which can result in damage to embryos. So the risks are real and are high, and they show that authorizing this substance could lead to hundreds of illnesses all over Europe. So I think we have to be very careful with this substance, and I believe that it is quite incredible to give an authorization without doing the necessary studies, and that goes against REACH and the principle, the precautionary principle, because of course REACH and precautionary principle are about getting proof that a substance is not harmful, and only then can they be used. There is another problem in this matter. As far as I know, and that's already a question to the Commission, the companies that asked for authorization have not asked for the use of the procedure which allows use of this substance for social and economic reasons. And ECHA has in fact, through its own volition, started using this procedure and arrived at the conclusion that the economic benefit outweighs the health risks, and that is why the authorization should be given. So my question to the Commission is, can you confirm this? So the authorization process changed as it went on, and in fact it was the agency that changed the procedure. And my question is, why did the agency do this work even though they were not asked to go into this procedure? As a follow-up, is it worth using this procedure to increase the exposure of European workers and to increase the potential negative harm, health risks that they are exposed to? So is it really? Are the benefits really outweigh, or do the benefits really outweigh the health risks? Even though Mr. Potts referred to the EP resolution, which said that we have to phase out the use of these substances. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now Mr. Buzoi.
Grazie, Presidente. DHP is a well-known toxic substance. I will not repeat all the arguments which raise a lot of concerns regarding using DHP. It is a high concern due to its toxicity for the reproductive system, endocrine disrupting effects for the environment and to human health. It was one of the first substances to be classified as a substance of very high concern under REACH, being amongst the first 6 compounds that was included in Annex 14. It is a phthalate which is forbidden in toys and since earlier this year in all electrical and electronic equipment. Still, DHP is widely used and EU citizens and environment are exposed as a substance containing PVC is widely used in everyday products in a very wide range of articles: artificial Christmas trees, textile furniture, shoes, building materials, and so on. What is important is the fact that safer alternatives are available. Alternatives not only for using in PVC, but also in different products and articles are available on European a market including alternative substances, materials, processes, and technologies, companies manufacturing alternatives, as well as downstream users applying these alternatives, have provided during the public consultation of this authorization process ample information on their availability and technical and economic suitability. We have 2 committees which provided opinions, Risk Assessment Committee and Committee for Socio-Economic Analysis. Although both committees had major concerns and the applicant did not demonstrate that they could control the risk for workers, they recommended an authorization for 7 years. What really concerns me also is the fact that DAHP is used in medical devices and products that enter into direct contact with pregnant women, newborns, or children. It's true, at that moment there are restrictions on using products containing DHP in medical devices, but who knows if in a couple of years we'll be asked to grant authorization of using recycled products containing this hazardous substance. In my opinion, the applicants did not fulfill the conditions for granting authorization, as they did not demonstrate that all the risks from the uses applied for are adequately controlled. That's why I'm in favor of a phase out of DHP with the possibility to grant exception only if this cannot be replaced or substituted. Having all this said, I'm in favor of the objection proposed by Mr. Potts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ms. Berder.
Thank you very much. I hadn't planned to intervene in this debate, but I have a real concern, having heard my colleagues here about this extension of DHP. My concern is for the truly for the human beings, but also for the wider environment. The way buildings and other things are recycled these days, buildings are taken away to relocated and then ground up in a separate area. And what is to stop the PVC coming into contact with everything else, that all the concrete and wood that gets ground up and separating? And for me, I can see the dust that creates getting into the wider environment, getting into the watercourses, getting into the grass and the land, and being there available for fishes, animals, birds. I mean, once it's out there, then it's uncontrollable. And for me, allowing this to be used in a recycling process is risky in the extreme. It's bad enough that we are producing the stuff and exposing human beings to it, but if we let it out into the environment, I can't see that how anybody can actually, hand on heart, say that it won't get out into the environment. Therefore, if it's this dangerous to human beings, can you imagine what it's doing to the wider biosphere out there as well? So I really will support Mr. Pock and others in really demanding from the Commission that they do not issue this extension and really look again at this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pedicini.
Grazie Presidente. Si è già detto che...
Thank you. We've already heard that DEHP is also an endocrine disruptor. And even these substances are already classified as reprotoxic. So they're also on the amongst the alarming substances in REACH. In 2011, the Commission flagged up these as amongst the most critical substances to be withdrawn from the EU. The industry realised this, and today the most safe phthalates make up 80% of the plastics. Now, there has been a great deal of marketing and sustainable brands where there's a low molecular weight phthalates being used. So I don't understand why today we're still discussing the possibility of using DEHP. Pediatric hospitals and gynecology departments in hospitals can still use equipment that contain DEHPs, including catheters, other such equipment, in intensive care for children who often need special tubing. They are amongst those who are exposed to high levels of DEHP. Furthermore, these substances still make up almost 50% of global consumption of plastifiers. They're produced in China, India, other Asian countries, the Middle East and Latin America, so they can come into Europe very easily. We therefore agree that we should avoid authorizing these substances and fully support the rapporteur's proposals.
Thank you very much. And now I think that it is necessary to give the floor to the Commission for some answer. Mr. Klaus Behrendt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all the members of the Parliament who have commented and who have spoken in support of the draft motion that has been tabled. Please allow me to respond to some of the points that were made. In particular, many have commented on the endocrine disrupting properties of DEHP. In fact, REACH foresees in its rules that the assessment or the application for authorization and the assessment have to be limited to the risks from the hazard property that is actually indicated in Annex 14 to REACH. And that, for the moment, is the classification as toxic to reproduction. Mr. Potts is right in pointing out that the Commission has proposed in a totally separate decision to identify DHP and 3 other phthalates as endocrine disruptors meeting the criteria of Article 57F of REACH, but that process is not completed. In fact, the proposal to identify the substance as such came much later. It came after this application for authorization has been submitted, and hence the applicants did not address it, obviously. And they were not obliged to address it, because, as said, REACH limits what kind of hazards have to be addressed. Furthermore, this separate Commission decision is not yet adopted, and the fact that the Commission has to propose it is due to developments in the Member State Committee in ECHA, where a proposal to identify DHP as endocrine disruptor did actually not get the necessary support. And therefore, it was transferred to the Commission for taking a decision. And if we succeed in getting this separate decision through, it would amend the candidate list, but it would not amend Annex 14. So we are still within the remit of the REACH articles that say the hazard properties that are listed in Annex 14 are the ones that are to be taken into account. I would also like to underline that the Risk Assessment Committee in ECHA has actually not recommended to refuse the authorization. They did confirm that the risk to workers is not adequately controlled based on the evidence provided by the applicant, but RAC has very explicitly stated that there are no risks to human health for the general public that result from articles made out of the recycled PVC. Hence, that is one of the elements that we have also carefully looked at before proposing our decision. RAC did then say, in order to address the risks to workers, the applicants should monitor the exposure of workers and provide data on exposure for the review, because every authorization, if it is granted, is subject to a periodic review. And the Commission has taken up that recommendation, and we propose to impose a condition that the applicants have to monitor worker exposure and then have to provide that information as part of a possible review. I would also like to underline that the fact that the applicants are recyclers or are working with recyclate made from waste PVC is a very important argument, unlike what is stated in the draft motion that it is not relevant. In fact, REACH again obliges the Commission to take into account the perspective of the applicant. And the applicants in this case are the ones working with recycled PVC, and they have submitted as part of their analysis of alternatives whether there are indeed other materials that can replace the recycled or the PVC containing DHP. This is quite different from applicants that would apply for producing new PVC with new DHP. The members were absolutely right that there are alternatives to DHP for practically all applications when you want to mix it into new PVC. But here the situation is very different. The recyclers work with the material that they get as waste, and their application has examined the alternatives for that, working with different waste streams or using a technology that would actually eliminate the DEHP. And SEAC has agreed with them that that is either technically or economically not feasible at this moment in time. The question was raised whether a switch from the adequate control route to the socio-economic route for authorization is possible, and yes, that is possible. The applicants tried to get the authorization under the so-called adequate control route, and they worked with a certain threshold of safety that RAC found inappropriate. Hence, RAC concluded they did not demonstrate that they achieved adequate control. But then REACH does allow that there is a separate route, the socio-economic route, that can then be used. And there is no particular need that the applicant would state that somewhere in the process. We see many applications that are made today for authorization under REACH where applicants try both. They provide evidence when they believe that they meet the adequate control criterion, but just in case they don't, and maybe they were inspired by this particular case, many also provide already information concerning the socio-economic route as well. So such a switch is indeed possible. Many have expressed concerns concerning the risk to workers, and I already commented on that by saying that we will, or that we propose to incorporate the monitoring condition and to get more information. I would also like to point out that recycling of PVC containing DHP is conducted by many, many more companies who have not applied for authorization under REACH, because if they transform waste directly into new articles, they do not need an authorization under REACH. These are the so-called integrated recyclers to which SEAC, in its opinion, also refers. So we do have companies that will continue recycling this material completely independent of our authorization here. Mr. Petticini also commented on the imports and the possibility of imports of PVC containing DHP. And that is correct. We do not have a restriction in place at the moment in Europe that would, on a broad scale, prevent the placing on the market of PVC containing DHP. We do have indeed already bans for toys and childcare articles, and we will have in 2019 the ban for electric and electronic equipment, but otherwise placing on the market of DHP in PVC is possible, and authorization does in any case not apply to third country manufacturers. So refusing the authorization will not prevent these imports from happening. That would only be possible through a restriction, and REACH contains the obligation that when the sunset date for a substance in Annex 14 has passed, ECHA has to examine whether there is a basis for a restriction. And ECHA is now working on that together with the Danish authorities. But that process, again, is by far not completed, and we do not know yet what will be the outcome. However, should there be any risks, we would, of course, also proceed with a restriction. And at that moment in time, an authorization granted could also be immediately reviewed. I think these were the main points that have been raised. Let me just look through my notes. Yes, indeed. So the Commission, in the end, when looking at the opinions from RAC and SEAC, we did concur with the assessment that was made by SEAC that the benefits from allowing the continued recycling for these three applicants, and we have to be very case-specific here, in the overall context of what I explained, does outweigh any potential risks to human health. And obviously, should the data that the authorization holders, if they get the authorization, bring for review demonstrate that these risks are bigger than they seem to be, then the authorization could be, of course, recalled. And also when other circumstances appear that would trigger an earlier review. So in summary, we absolutely share the concerns about DEHP as such. Nobody puts into question that this is a substance of very high concern. But the REACH authorization system is very, very case-specific, and we have to look at the perspective of the applicants. And again, as RUC has confirmed, that there are no risks for consumers from the articles made of the material, and that imports can continue. The Commission believes that it is justified to grant the authorization to these recyclers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For concluding the discussion, I give the floor to Mr. Potts and Javor.
Yes. Děkuji ještě jednou, pane předsedo.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm not surprised by the argumentation from the Commission. Commission basically confirmed what I said at the beginning. The EHP is an endocrine disruptor. The Commission knows it, the comitology confirms. The fact that some processes are not yet finished doesn't mean that we just don't say what is true. What we talk about is the health of the people and not about some bureaucratic processes that have or have not been finished 14 days earlier or later. So this is all about bureaucracy and the decision processes. As far as RUC is concerned, RUC says it is not recommending the authorization. That's what their note says. So what further discussion? The RUC said that this proposal cannot prove adequate control over health risk. So that's it. The system of recycling, what's the purpose? It is not the purpose to keep the dangerous substances rotating through the environment. No, this is not the point. This is not the point why we recycle. SEAC, well, based on the file, and I have read them very carefully, all of them, they clearly show that there wasn't any impact assessment of the wide use of DEHP. There wasn't any. So how can a Commission say that we can take the socio-economic route? Of course, socio-economic route can be justified sometimes. But if we compare socio-economic impacts with those on the human health, well, it didn't happen. If the Commission says that there is no legislation against the imports of such dangerous substances or maybe products containing such substances, if this is what the Commission says, then the Commission doesn't do their job properly. We should have this kind of legislation in place. So what can I say? If we have bureaucratic processes that protect those who produce poisons against the Europeans, if these are protected more than the degree of protection of Europeans, well, then God save the EU. The tomorrow vote will mean what is more important for us, reproductive and oncological health of the European population, or easy access to cheap products made of PVC that contains one of the most acute reproductive poisons? That's the vote tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Mr. Javor?
Thank you, Chair. I have two questions of clarification. Perhaps I didn't get properly the Commission's answer, but it seemed to me that you mentioned that it's possible that the ECHA applied the socio-economic route of permitting, which was not requested by the applicant itself. The question is, this is the case or not? Yes or no? The applicant requested to use the socio-economic route or not? And the second question is that at the end of the day, the key question is the following. Do we consider that recycling of soft PVC waste with high concentration of substances of very high concern to produce low-value articles to compete with cheap Chinese imports is so important that we are willing to accept that 100 to 160 female workers may have infertile sons? What is the answer for that according to the Commission? Yes or no? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think that after this question, we have to return back the floor to the Commission for a short answer, and then we can conclude the item.
Thank you. Yes is the answer to the first. The applicants do not have to specify a particular route via which they want to obtain an authorization. There are elements that they have to submit as part of the application, and then it is to be seen whether they succeed in adequate control or not. Again, this is very bureaucratic, and I apologize for that, but that is what the law says. If an authorization cannot be granted under the adequate control route, it is still possible to grant it under the socio-economic route. And the second question, again, you cannot, or we believe that it cannot be answered in pure isolation of these three cases. As I mentioned earlier, the recycling of this material continues outside of the scope of REACH. Many companies do recycle DHP-containing PVC that have not bothered to apply for authorization under REACH. It's only these three who have done that. And likewise, these imports from outside of the EU can continue, even if we refuse these authorizations. We are concerned about the health of the workers, and that is why we have taken up the RUC recommendation to get more information and monitoring data about that, and then when we have that, take an informed decision on either refusing or withdrawing the authorization at that point in time. So, with all respect, that second question, we are not putting something higher than something else, but it's the overall situation for these three recyclers compared to all the others, and the fact that I want to underline again that the recyclates, the articles made from the recyclates, as confirmed by RUC, do not pose a risk to the general population when they are placed on the market.
Thank you very much. We can conclude here our debate. The vote in the ENVI committee on the objection will be tomorrow morning, and the vote in plenary will be